The most important thing was that we weren't scared of making mistakes. Honestly, back then, we had Hookie CS who were decently smart, I would say. And then we had 3 younger, well, stupid guys.
So what's going on, guys? Welcome, nicoodoz, to the new Heroic.
Thank you.
You were obviously an interesting change for Heroic, but so was getting kyxsan. So what's it like playing under an IGL like him?
I mean, I can only say that I've been positively surprised by him. I think he's a really nice guy, first of all, but he's also a really good player. And the way he thinks about the game, I think it all just makes sense, and we're already like clicking together the way we want to play. I think one of the hardest things about creating a new CS team is finding your identity. I think we already figured out pretty fast how we want to play, and now we can already start working on it.
It's crazy to see how quickly you guys have figured everything out post these changes, because they're so dramatic. Like IGL plus kyxsan was such a personality in the team, and so you had kind of every excuse to not be able to not qualify to the major, and everyone would be like, oh, it's okay, you guys were super new IGL and everything. So could you honestly say your expectation was still to qualify, or are you just as surprised as you are happy with your progress so far?
Yeah, it's kind of mixed feelings, because you can say that you're playing for an organization like Heroic that has been in the previous 3 to 4 years been at top tournaments every time and making it to playoffs a lot. So if you follow that reputation, you would say that you should expect that you need to qualify for the major.
Okay.
But it's also we are a new team, and if we didn't qualify, we also said to each other, this is a long-term project, and no reason to ring any alarm bells if it doesn't happen. Of course, it's really annoying if it happened that we didn't qualify, but it's something that we have to live with and then learn from it and then improve.
nicoodoz, I'd like to ask you, how would you describe the old Heroic in terms of playstyle?
Annoying.
Annoying, okay.
To play against. I think Heroic was one of the first teams to have that style on CT where they over-rotate a lot, they regress and find those timings, and I think every team in the world now, all the top teams do it now. So I think they were some of the first guys who did it, and that's the first thing I think about when I think about the old Heroic.
TeSeS, I'll ask you now, how would you describe what the new Heroic is like?
Yeah, we're finding a mix right now, a balance of being able to react on information and being able to also keep the old style of being able to react, but it's in our way, and over-rotating, playing for information, but also having some more set things and being able to have good protocols. We also did have that in the old Heroic, and right now I just think that you have to kind of play that play style where you are able to react and play defaults.
For a while, you had to IGL while there was no captain around. What was that experience like?
So one of the reasons why I did it was I knew I was going to learn from it no matter what. And if it was for a long term or short term, I would still learn from it and gain some good things about it. And one of the things is definitely being more vocal about what I like and being able to take more control and initiative during rounds, but also outside of the server when we're talking about theories, and I have a better overview of the game and how I think about the game. Then it's something that I feel has gained me something in this year.
If you play good fundamental CS in the RMR qualifiers, is that enough to get through? Or do you have to quickly also figure out some kind of personality to stand out a little bit?
Right now, the thing is, you can look at it in so many different ways. If you're doing basics correct, 90% of the time, then I think you are playing really good CS. If you want to have that extra gear, mm-hmm. Some of the top teams have, then you are gonna go to the major finals. You're gonna go into those deep runs in the big tournaments. But I believe if you play good CS, basic CS, also fundamental CS, doing the correct things most of the time, then you will qualify.
Let's go back a year to Hookie CS, okay? Would you say that what you had with Hookie was a team that you guys were learning a lot of details about the game other people weren't thinking about, or were you making a lot less mistakes than other teams? Is that how you had your success back at Antwerp?
The most important thing was that we weren't scared of making mistakes, because honestly back then we had Hookie CS who were decently smart, I would say, and then we had 3 younger, well, stupid guys. Honestly, really didn't think too much when they played. We played a lot on intuition, and then we spent a lot of time talking about situations after, so we wouldn't have to repeat the same mistakes, I would say. So when we played these tournaments. Like we started in the online era, but then we moved on to some lands like Kato with the old Flames roster. Then we started becoming smarter as players and playing more proper CS in a way, making less mistakes. But all of it was just intuition and listening to Hookie, I would say.
So what do you need as an AWPer to be successful?
Hard to say. You need to be good at the game, first of all.
Well, what do you need? So I would say the question would be like, what do you need from an IGL to set you up for success as an AWPer on your teams?
I think the most important thing is freedom, that I can do whatever I want, which I feel like I have, so that's really important for me. Also, one of my biggest points when I came into the team is that I want to be able to do whatever I want. I think if you have freedom, then then you have the responsibility on yourself to make stuff happen, right? You need to make calls, you need to take initiative, you need to help your teammates, you need to make them help you. Like, you need all the resources in the world as an AWPer, right? And you need to take them, you need to be a bit selfish at times as well.
So the team was thrown together pretty fast under duress in the circumstances, but you guys put together a pretty good roster. You guys have made it to the next stage for the major. What are your expectations now for Blast?
We don't want to look at the results too much. We try to look at it in more like of a process. Like, there's tournaments we want to do really good at, and I think that we have to also prioritize evolving much more, because we are a new team and cannot expect to just win against every top team right now, and we have to just learn and keep evolving. So for me, it's more like one day at a time.
Speaking realistically, there was a point of time in CSGO where if anyone made a roster move after like 6 months, we would say, oh, you should have given that player more time. That's totally unfair. But what we've seen in the last few years is that sometimes teams and players get even less time. It's probably too fast, but it is also just the way that things are right now. So with it being that cutthroat at the moment, what do you have as an expectation for this cycle? How quickly do you want to see results?
Yeah, it's tough to say. But I said to like also the Heroic, and I also feel like Heroic is supporting us. It's like this is a long-term project and not something that just is gonna change after the major. Like if it was something short-term solution, then they would get a team where they're directly in the RMRs. But we went through all of the things, and I think that also shows that it is a long-term project, and we are gonna see it through and make it work together.
nicoodoz, who's a better AWPer, Stown or Cadian?
Stown.
Okay, so you want to be more like Stown?
I think I'm myself.
Yourself, yeah. Who's the AWPers that you've learned from when you were growing up?
All the top ones, I think. I watched a lot of Simple and Device growing up.
Yeah.
Watched also Prime Fallen, but I wasn't really that into CS back then. I was more just watching like finals of big events and stuff like that. But like studying people, I studied Simple a lot. The way he moves around the map is something you can't really replicate, because I believe that he plays a lot on intuition and he just has a feel. So when he's feeling the game, he's always at the right spot and he always gets kills.
So the way that kyxsan played with Knock, which was the last AWPer, do you have any thoughts about the way that Apex used to play when they did their run at the Paris Major, for example? Did you pay attention to them at a lot?
Honestly, not really. I didn't follow a lot of Apex game, being honest. That's also why that coming into this team, I didn't know a whole lot about kyxsan. All I know is that I felt like he was on if you look at the players, maybe a slightly average team, but they had good results and they were consistently around top 15, top 10, even after the major. So I think he must have done a good job,
It's definitely one of the best Macedonian IGLs, for sure.
Probably the
so
best.
Many.
You guys have Saw as a coach. First of all, TeSeS, what was the deal with Exist? What did he do when you guys were practicing? What was his style? What did he talk about? It's just like no one knows anything about Exist.
Yeah.
Except he seems kind of nice.
He's a very nice guy and a very nice person, and also a great coach. I think some coaches fits with some IGLs and some doesn't. I think that Exist is not a coach that speaks up way too much and says, guys, we have to do this and follow this. He's more like wanting to listen to all the players and also go with their gut feeling. I think that he will do really good on many teams. He just has to find the right one.
And then to compare it to Saw, who, I mean, it's not like Saw is known for being like loud and boisterous either, but there is more, I think, it feels like he does get into tack pauses a bit more. It feels like him and Snappy have more of a copacetic relationship when it comes to who gets to talk about what to do next. And sometimes I'll give credit to Snappy for a call, and then on Twitter he'll be like, actually Saw made this call in the middle of the game. I didn't feel like Exist was really having many moments like that. So are you expecting a more hands-on approach with Saw as a coach?
Well, I think also Exist had many hands-on approaches also during the game, and it's something we didn't really talk about on Twitter, but
yeah, okay.
I at least remember saying in interviews that he had great tech process and stuff. But yeah, I think Saw is for now that he's a really great coach. Of course, we've been practicing with him, and he's also taking like timeouts in the practices and saying something. And also outside of the server, I think he's like everything he says and is like making sense. And I think he's very focused on not being afraid of making mistakes and going too much into details, which makes some people being afraid of making mistakes, and he's just making sure that everyone is very comfortable, and that I like.
Are you excited to try something new? Like, you're somebody who's always played like hard CT positions by yourself and played in a very hard to predict heroic play style and a very unique brand and personality of Counter-Strike. Now you've got Saw, who came from a very successful team playing with Snappy on Ents, who has a certain philosophy on the game. You have years of being at the top with heroic. Now you're playing with kyxsan, who had recent success, who's bringing in sort of tier 2, new up-and-coming knowledge and a different way of playing. Are you excited about the idea of trying to figure out where the common ground is between all three of you?
100%. It's something we talked about even before we started practicing. We're not gonna go and say, oh, we have to do this and do it the heroic way or the Ents way or the Epic's way. We're gonna find something in the middle ground, and we're gonna find something that works for us. I believe that we will find that, and also already now we have we have many ideas, and everyone is buying into it, and then we're trying it, and I feel great about it right now, at least.
nicoodoz, one final question. Is this the best team you've ever played on?
I would say so, yes. At least the best team with the best players around me, I would say. So maybe not right now we're the best team, but definitely have the highest potential of all the teams I've been on.
You hear that, Yabby?